All right, I saw some people speculating in chat about where this deck list came from. I'm like 99% sure this list went finished in the top 32 or top 16 at the very first open of the season. This is a blue-red Drake style deck splashing green for Hydroid Krasis and Crushing Canopy. This is a little bit more controlling than some of the other builds. Someone in chat just commented that I'm not sold that this deck is better than the Phoenix build, and I don't think that makes sense to make as a comparison. So one of the things in my experience people tend to do too often is people conflate decks that have the same colors or some overlap in their core as being the same deck. And I think these Crackling Drake style or 12-ish Drake style decks are just different than the Phoenix deck. This deck is more of a control deck. It gets to play counter magic a little bit better post-board. It gets to play Spell Pierce in the main. And it plays differently than something like Phoenix that tries to be super, super aggressive. A couple people are mentioning no growth spiral in this build, so if you look at this deck, there's only 8 green sources in the mana base, and the reason for that is not only this deck has a lot of cantrips to find its few green sources, but we only have green in the main deck as Hydroid Krasis, which by this being our only green card, we can play a lot fewer green sources because we don't need green until like the 6th, 7th, 8th turn of the game until we're ready to start playing big Krasis out. Whereas if we wanted to play something like, say, Growth Spiral, we would need enough green sources in the mana base to try and play Growth Spiral consistently on turn 2 to 3, which means we would have to warp our mana and take a lot more damage from it than we do now with this configuration. So, I'm not going to change anything in here. Let's just go ahead and dive right into... I think I'm going to play this one in ranked. It's a reasonable collection of decent cards, so hopefully we don't live to regret that decision. Deck looks like it has plenty of tools to be good against things like mono blue, so hopefully we have some good games of Magic here and win a couple on the in-between. There are no black sources for Dispersal in this deck. You can always find the deck list on the Stream Decker or by typing !deck in chat to get a full link. Okay, it's fine. Same is true for Collision Colossus. Collision Colossus requires fewer green sources because the collision part doesn't require green at all, right? And Collision Colossus might be interesting in this deck, but at the same time, I feel like this deck with Shocks and Lava Coils is probably already good against Mono Blue, which is where a place where you'd want collision, and the Colossus part isn't super relevant in a deck like this where all of our threats are evasive. So I'm not really sure that, again, that card solves problems that this deck looks like it will have on the surface. And I haven't played any games with this deck, so I can't really tell you what problems it might have. That's why we're learning. We're looking to play some games and learn a little bit. I think I just want a Discovery here and dig for some lands. This deck is playing Krasis and Niv-Mizzet in the main, so I'm looking to curve out into those pretty consistently. In fact, I think I'm going to bin this and just take the Mountain. This is a card I want in the mid to late game when I have a lot of lands guaranteed. Looks like Esper control here. They are a hungry boy or girl. Alright, I think we're going to play Scary Terry out here. Put the Steam Vent into play tap to just pass with this dive down up. Another month of practice with my sword. Keep up the great work. Iceman, thanks for the 7 months. Welcome back and thanks for keeping me around. Yep. Shock's a pretty bad draw here. It's a card that's basically dead in this matchup. In fact, I might just send this Shock at their dome to get working towards Terry popping off here. Even if they play an untapped land here, they're pretty unlikely to have 1 mana removal that kills this. Running kind of on empty at the moment. They have like land Kaya's Wrath. We're going to be in trouble here. I do know from talking to other people who have played blue-red Drakes that they describe Esper as being a hard matchup. So the fact that we have Hydroid Krasis as a way to generate card advantage when we flood out a little bit in this deck is probably helpful in a matchup like this. So Dopies, it's kind of a catch-22. So if you look here, they have this card Thought Erasure. So if I play my creatures out early, they get in under Thought Erasure, so they can't take it away. If I play my creatures out late, I could potentially play around spot removal, but there's no guarantee by any means. And the upside to having my creatures in play is they get chip shots of damage in. The actual answer is that it probably doesn't matter, and we're likely screwed either way, just because this matchup is hard game one, especially when I have things like Shocks and Lava Coil in my deck. What are your thoughts on post-board Shocks versus Esper Control? I think in this deck that's less good because we have so many flying blockers. So they know about this dive down. They do not know about the spell pierce. I'm going to go ahead and concede here. I think we're just wasting our time at this point. Let's get along to the post-board game. No, Discovery only counts as one card. So it counts as an instant for cards that care about instants and sorceries for cards that care about sorceries, but does not count as both simultaneously. I'm going to leave 2 Shocks in here. A Shock does finish off Teferi after he down ticks. I don't think I want these other cards. Hey, Suno Tam, thanks for the quarter of a year. I appreciate the 3 months. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, if you have 2 cards in your hand with the same name and artwork specifically, so they have to be the same version of the same card, it always plays the one that's revealed. I played this opt in response to the duress, because the things I'm looking for with this hand right now are lands and creatures, which are things duress can't take. And I don't want them to take my opt with the duress, denying me the ability to use my mana this turn. So because I'm explicitly looking for things that duress can't take, I opted in response there. I'm going to keep the Steam Vents, ditch the mountain here, I think. I want some lands, but I also want threats a little bit. So I'm going to opt during my main phase here, because this way if I draw a Pteramander, I can put it into play. So generally speaking, you don't want to play, especially your only threat, into your opponent's open mana. Into your opponent's 3 open mana when they could have 4 the following turn. So now I have to decide, do I want to play Crackling Drake this turn? I think I do, because this way, if I draw a land next turn, I can play Krasis as a 4/4. The "don't just scream, say help please" was a quote of me saying that to Jake when he was 2 or 3, I believe. Because I've streamed for a very long time. But I've only been doing this as a full-time job for a little over a year now. And for a long time when I was just streaming 10 to 15 hours a week, I was doing it while my kids were playing in the background. think we're dead. I think the Teferi means we're dead. I guess I get to shock this now. And then next turn I get to Banefire it. So maybe that's our chance until we get Thought Erasured here.
No time for a break. Hardly my worst defeat.
I think I wait a turn on this Krasis until I draw a land. I'm glad not many people try submitting Esper for you to play. It's good, but not the best content. Yeah, I agree with that assessment pretty firmly. Alright, now that I drew another one, I'm going to play this as a divination. Hopefully draw a land to continue holding up Stroke. Mr. Banefire will see you now. We just went over this, K. Mueller. You see how there's no longer an eye on this one? There's no longer a Krasis revealed to my opponent. Stingy, thanks for the 5 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me employed here. Looking for threats and lands. If they untap and play a Teferi, I'm going to be a little bit sad here.
I am not. Hold that thought. We need to move quickly.
We could really use a Niv-Mizzet. Blue is the color. Checking in with that tier 1 sub. Thank you very much and welcome. Hope you're having a good one. Thanks for keeping me around. This is at 6. I wonder if I'm supposed to jam the Crackling Drake here because they mortified the first one. The fact they mortified the first one kind of signifies they don't have a sweeper. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for keeping me around, Blue. Welcome to a live one. Good to have you here. Vraska's Contempt. I think I'm actually going to fight over this. That's unfortunate. That moment of craving got to have text there. I'm actually gonna keep both of these. Maybe I should flip-flop those so if they discard spell me, the dive down's hidden. Okay, maybe I'm supposed to flip-flop those. I'm gonna Discovery to start next turn, so that way if we find Niv-Mizzet, we can jam that on them. We can also find a Banefire, but that doesn't quite kill Teferi at this point. I saw a couple people in chat discussing why I'm not dispersaling. I don't have black mana, for people wondering that. The game desperately wants to leave up green mana instead of red mana. Alright, so we got 2 Nivs and 1 more Krasis in our deck here still. Teferi's going to 8. So now I need to draw Niv, or I need to draw Banefire. Got 1 Banefire, 2 Nivs. I guess there's technically 2 Shocks in my deck too that can keep Teferi from ulting.
Phase you out of time.
All right, they took the bait with Rail. Unfortunately, Teferi is just continuing to bury us in cards. Niv-Mizzet, please. Niv-Mizzet, please.
Let's see what the wind blows in.
Good lord. I think I'm holding on to that for in case I draw Niv. We might deck ourselves here. Ral, actually, we don't have a big enough deck for Ral to be a win condition at this point. And Krasis is dangerous to decking us also.
Even I make errors sometimes.
He's so big, chat. He's so big. I mean, like, I think that's like pretty anecdotal, Snap Bolt Snap. Like, if you look at what happened that game, like, if we just have, like, a Niv-Mizzet in the top half of our deck, or the top 2/3 of our deck, we probably take that game and run away with it, 'cause we just been, like, sitting on the dive down. Like, the issue was that it took us almost 50 cards to find one of our 2 copies of Niv that would take the game and run away with it. And in a lot of other places, like, we would have just, like, been fine with Drake, so they'd have had less removal. So, like, we failed to find one of our 2 cards that was the best against the removal heavy deck on the top 2/3 of our deck. WTB stands for want to buy. It's internet shorthand for saying you're looking for something, basically. Alright, Scary Terry, you do your thing. Karma Nova, thanks for the 19 months. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Two instants and sorceries in there. Things aren't looking good for our hero, chat. Things aren't looking good for the hero. I think I just have to use my mana here. So this way if I draw an untapped land next turn, I can jam Niv into play. Also want to keep my health total high. That can't possibly be good for us. That's gotta mean they have more of that card, right? It's the only reason you get aggressive with it. These main deck spell pierces have been really embarrassing so far. They were kind of mediocre against Esper too. So you have to like find a Crackling Drake and then draw a shock. Yeah, they're just too clunky, command. You just like need things that are more efficient basically. I like not have sideboard cards for this matchup. I almost feel like I don't have... they have so many 4-power things. This isn't good. I just like bring in Entrancing Melody and like a Ral. Maybe Ral's just fine because I have so many cheap instants and sorceries. This does not seem stellar for us. Do 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 do. After 5 matches, I threw it in the garbage can. Well, we're currently taking my rank and throwing it in the garbage can because I looked at this deck and it seemed reasonable on paper. My evaluation might have been off. Might have been a little off. There's probably a reason Drake set a bad set at the Mythic Championship. Howdy, Zinsos. Thanks for the 3 months. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. do this. Next turn I can play Sulfur Falls, play Scary Terry with Dive Down up, and then Charter Course, just straight up draw 2 the following turn. Yeah. Probably a good idea not to discard Ferox with Thought Erasure. Good choices. They probably likely have another removal spell for this, and if they do, that's fine. I just get to play Crackling Drake on my turn. Yeah, that's probably a fair assessment. The Splash Shade is real tough. Yeah, we played a build that had Growth Spiral in it. It was a more full-on 3-color deck. This deck isn't really Temur so much as it's blue-red Splash Krasis. Like, there's only 8 green sorcerer mana base, and we talked about that. We talked about that prior. Like, this deck being a small splash instead of being a full-on 3-color deck. I think because they have War Boss, it's better for me to play Crackling Drake this turn rather than Charter Course. Is my Crackling Drake dead too here? I feel like they wouldn't Lightning Strike if my Crackling Drake wasn't also dead. Lava Coil or Collision in my future. Weird. I feel like they're supposed to attack first here, because when I block, they can just Lightning Strike my Drake, unless they have another Lightning Strike here. Strange. I think that sequencing was a little bit loose for my opponent. I'll shoot this. Leave Drake back to defend him. Imaginer, thank you for the Prime support. Hope you're having a good one wherever you're at. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me employed here. Well, I'm glad they drew that this turn and not last turn. Playing Daredevil out for no value seems weird in this matchup. You have a lot of good things that can cast.
Decisions.
All right. You've gone back and played any more Temur climbs since getting to Mythic with Domri? I've not, Chewy. I don't really play a ton of Arena off stream. Pretty much everything I play happens on stream. Still a fairy in. Thanks for the 17 months. I appreciate that. That is almost a year and a half. Welcome back. Wonder if they have another Dire Fleet. I think I'm going to go ahead and chump block with Terry here. Warbler, thanks for the 2 months. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. And the next turn I can plus Teferi, plus play a large, or plus this Royale, plus play a large Krasis. I guess we're looking for a land at this point now. Because the land lets Krasis trade with Hellkite. Ooh, that's a good one. What was the people's opinion of the sub-only chat according to my probe? It was about 50% of subs said they liked sub-only chat, 40% were indifferent, 42% were indifferent, like 8% said they didn't like it. And I think there's probably a good chance that a majority of that 8% were people who were gifted subs. Although I don't have that metric available specifically. I think Ral is better main deck over Spell Pierce. Yeah, I could see that. The spell, maybe let's push some things around after this match. The main deck Spell Pierces have definitely felt exceptionally medium. Feel like I would rather have just like almost anything else. Yeah, now the fun here has to be focused around the actual magic instead of timing people out. Hey, Elf King, thanks for the 8 months. I appreciate the 2/3 of a year. Alright, I'm gonna put this other Entrancing Melody back in. I only had one in there. I'm gonna put both in. That still felt pretty good. What am I gonna trim here? gonna trim Terry on the draw. They have a lot of things that kill him. Is it crazy to cut all my Terrys? I wonder if it's crazy to cut all the Terrys. Let's give this a try. How many arena bugs have you seen since you started playing, like 4 to 5 tops? Like, there's honestly, I think there's been more visual bugs than anything that like actually impacts the gameplay. Like, for instance, like the Tristani dance where the creature goes back and forth, like that's technically a bug, right? But yeah, as far as like bugs that impact gameplay, it's definitely super minimal. I'm gonna lead on this. I think I want that. And like this turn, I can Lava Coil whatever their turn 3 play is. And the following turn, I can Entrancing Melody the Harpooner. Taking a lot of damage here, though. It's very possible I should have just killed this, but then, like, the Legion War Boss would be going unchecked here, which is a little scary. Well, if that's their play, they probably don't have a lot going on here. If they don't have a removal spell, I'm going to 8 here. If they do have a removal spell, I'm going to 5, which probably means I'm dead. They could have Collision Colossus here, but the fact they didn't attack with this seems to imply otherwise. You have a preference on Twitch sub versus Patreon. I definitely prefer Twitch in general. The more subs I have on Twitch, the more benefits the channel gets overall. If they had Collision Colossus, they would have played it last turn, so I'm just going to do this now. I'm going to hold on to the Lava Coil so it can kill a Rekindling Phoenix, I think. At this point, we're looking to draw Krasis or Niv-Mizzet. Crackling Drake, we're looking to draw our bombs to finish the game. Ral Zarek. I might just shock this. Feel like I want to keep my health total high. Although this is... Oh, did they draw Collision Colossus? Playing this is bad if they draw, like, Growth Chamber Guardian. So this is, it's a race to a finisher at this point, which I assume our deck full of cantrips is favored here, but definitely a little bit of variance to play out. Maybe I should hold my land because I have, I should probably hold my land because I have a, Charter Course in my deck and I didn't have a creature out. And this Sailor is never attacking because they have riot creatures on the ground. So, like, getting in 1 point of damage. Yeah, you Lava Coil the crap out of that one. Their hand must just be all removal, right? Or, like, lands and removal. Krasis, please. Niv-Mizzet, please. Krasis, please. Niv-Mizzet, please. Gosh, if we draw Niv-Mizzet, the game is over. We have Dubs Dive Down. That's terrifying. My son loves your content. Any recommendations on your standard decks that'd be good for them to learn sideboarding with best? Specifically sideboarding. I'm not sure if I have.
Fighting through hell, from balance comes.
Well, that was a bunch of burn into a Vivian, and we drew another brick. That's really unfortunate. It's like, got through 20 cards. Got through more than 20 cards, right? I have a couple of bottoms. At least one. This has Hasting kills us. It has Hexproof next turn, so we can't interact with it. So they're gonna go for it. Let's rip the Spell Pierces out of the main deck of this deck before we try another one. That card seems exceptionally bad at the moment. 21 lands in this deck. I guess that's probably fine with the amount of cards we see game to game. All of our cards that draw cards. I feel about like a Bacon Bolt in the main. Do I want Ral main or do I want a Beacon Bolt? Why would we want to play Opt? Or why would we want to play Anticipate rather than Opt? What problem do we have that solves? Reduces variance. I mean, it does the same thing as Opt, only it's more expensive. And if you look at our deck, we already have 8 cards that cost 2 mana, and we have only 4 cards that cost 4. So Opt allows your cards to fit into your curve better while serving a similar role. It allows you to get instant sorceries into your graveyard faster for Pteramander. It's a cheaper card for Niv-Mizzet to draw extra cards with. Let's put a couple of things in here that let us kill larger things. Put a Bacon Bolt and a Ral in the main. I wonder if it's right to go up to a 20-second land, but because I'm increasing my curve a little bit here. I could see that being the case. Yeah, I agree, especially in our deck with our Drakes in it. Discovery tends to just be better than Anticipate. And the resource efficiency. Obviously, the effect on Anticipate is better than Opt, but also costs twice as much mana, so there's a reason why it's better. Hold on to the Charter Course for now, since I have the Opt. We have the potential to have this, do a little bit, more later by drawing 2 full cards. Need some red mana here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and Charter Course, just because I am looking for a red source. Sultai with a slow start. Maybe I should hold on to the Beacon Bolt because it scales. I could have gone Shockland tapped into Lava Coil there and potentially been a bit better off. Using the Beacon Bolt this turn is more resource efficient though, which is appealing. They might think I'm a control deck at the moment, although Charter Course is maybe a little bit telling. But some of the Nexus decks have played Charter Course in the past. I'm gonna play Crackling Drake. They'll play Vivian and shoot Crackling Drake. I'll cry silently. Drawing a 6 land and a 3rd red source is a big deal here because it means I do get to jam Niv-Mizzet next turn. If they do have Vivian for the Crackling Drake, then maybe they won't have a removal spell for the Niv-Mizzet. What's going on, Roundhouse? Well, that bodes well for us. Means they don't have the Viv. I think with no protection or 7th land inside, I just jammed this. Chris, thanks for the biddies. Hope you're having a good Monday. Welcome, welcome. I understand why people don't play Drakes anymore. My poor rank. We were 600 again.
That can't help you.
All right. New rule for the rest of the season. We are not testing anything else on the ladder unless I know it's good. Yeah, and like, now this Vivian goes and finds a Krasis, which like blocks the Crackling Drake, and then gives them a removal for the Crackling Drake for later. Yeah, the Drake's archetype in general, the blue-red and just Drakes in general, was one of the worst performing archetypes at the recent Mythic Championship. And like, playing this deck in actual matches, it makes a lot of sense why it was the worst performing archetype. I don't know, at the end of the day, it probably doesn't matter. Trying to be competitive in Magic's like a variance-filled crapshoot, so trying to take it too seriously is probably a big mistake. See if we can find a shock to keep this Vivian from killing our Drake. LSV got top 8 with the Phoenix deck. He did not get top 8 with a deck like this. The Phoenix deck had an okay win rate among players playing it, but they were also kind of skewed because it was only good players playing it. But what LSV was playing, I would argue, is almost a different archetype than this deck. Hey, thanks for the bits, Chris. If you haven't done so, you should take a peek at the deck queue and let me know if there's any decks in there you'd like to bump up and see a little bit sooner. Whenever anyone donates $1 or more or cheers 100 bits or more, I always like to encourage them to move something on up. Always like when the people who support me dictate what we play. That's interesting. So they must have a finality here. The final countdown. Do-do-do-do. Be-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. 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 How's the deck, chat? Really bad. Really exceptionally bad. Bacon bolt that one, please. Go. Alright, I mean, if we can find one of our other 2 copies of Niv, with this opt and this dive down, we might be able to get something going here. Maybe. Oh, look at that. They cast a draw too. Xenos, thanks for the 4 months. I appreciate the third of a year. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Woof. Niv, please. Niv, please. Drake, please. Ral, please. Niv, please. Cantrips, please. It just needs stuff, chat. Where is all of our stuff? I guess they haven't. We have 3 Krasis in our deck here still too, right? And like, there's 3 cards on my bottom that I know I put there. So like, we're 25 cards in with no Krasis, and 1 Niv and 1 Crackling Drake. Xenos, come on, come on, come on! Give me a thing! Give me a thing! 1 biggin. 1 biggin. All right, all right. There's a big mamma jamma, chat. There's 1 large. All right. All right. We are large and in charge, chat. We are large. I agree that we've been running a little bit bad so far today. Firm agree with that. Stop it. Get out of here. Oh no. Oh no. Obligated to block here because we're at 7. I need a really good set of stuff next turn. Need a really good set of stuff and things next turn. They're drawing six. They're drawing 3 cards here with Krasis. Alright, something cantrip. Give Poppy a cantrip. Give Poppy a Krasis. Alright, so this Krasis is drawing. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my Krasis is gonna draw 4. Wait, is that true? No, it's only gonna draw. I have 9 total, so it's gonna draw 3. Alright, so we'll target Jade Light. I think I just played this. How many dive downs and ops are in my deck? I'm through 1 dive down, 1 dive down, 1 ops. That's 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 1 dive down left in my deck. I guess I just do this for the full 7. So I can trade 1 for 1. Alright. This is the battle cruiser magic we've been waiting for, right? I mean, we were talking about how we've been kind of unlucky so far, so... Krasis brought a friend with. Like, this goes out to everybody in chat who believed we could do it. Please play another Krasis. Vivian Reed, rude.
How this thing goes is up
The
to
battle cruiser operational, right?
feel the wrath of Scala.
Feel the wrath of Scala. Oh yeah, why wouldn't you have double removal spell? Show me the third removal spell. Show me the third removal spell. Oh, no third removal spell. Unlucky opponent. Only 2. Only 2 removal spells, you say? Alright. Send the hostage taker. Dead to Chupacabra. Dead to Vivian. Dead to Doomblade. There's only 16 cards in my deck. Probably can't win either way because I'm going to deck myself. Kems McKing, thank you for the Prime support. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for shipping your Bezo bucks this way this month. I appreciate it. Yep. I mean, at least I feel like we've learned something today, right? Like there's a reason why these Drake's decks have fallen off hard. This has not been a pleasant experience so far today. It's been the inverse of whatever a pleasant experience would be. I need more maximized velocity. Need something. You know, could get. I think this deck needs more cowbell. Could that be the issue? So much for one of the best standards. This standard's pretty okay. Definitely lower on the bar than the previous standard format for me, but it's still fine. It's not like Kaladesh or whatever those other sets were before this one. I don't have any paper magic, but I did get a few Pokemon cards out of my Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and I love the feeling of cards in my hand while playing Arena. Let's go ahead on, Chems. So the 2-1-3 sim. I can relate to the holding cards while you play on your paper, while you play digitally. Who else misses the Scarab God? For Grixis control, will do, Chris. Get those bumped up after we're all done today. Sure. This is going to be one of those games where I never draw a cantrip or a land, and we die with all these expensive cards in our hand, right? That's how this works. I've read this book before. The arena standard I went to last Friday went really well, by the way. We actually had more people playing arena than paper Magic. That's awesome. I think if I draw another mediocre card next turn, we might just play a baby Krasis to try and get some velocity going, get some pressure into play. Texas Ranger over there looking kind of scary. They hit land and play a Jade Light. We're just going to get buried. Yikes. Alright, well, Jade Light's coming next turn, chat. I miss Hazoret. I'm the worst. So I think I'm actually supposed to play the mountain here, because playing the mountain means if I draw a red source next turn, I can play Niv-Mizzet. Please don't Jade Light me. Three mana, gain 12, add 7 power to the table. That seems fair. I think that's fair. Celeris, thanks for the 7 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. All right. I like to put a concise wrap up at the end, and it's been a while since we've had a wrap up like this. But for people who are paying attention at home who like the Drake stack, if you want to optimize your Drake stack, if you click on this once and then there's this button down here, you just do that, you confirm, and now your Drake stack is perfect. Just anybody miss that? Because unfortunately I can't do it again, but hopefully you can rewind the tape if you missed that.